This brings us just 1 minute past the hour, so let's get underway. Just to remind everyone that this session is being recorded, and I'm just delighted to be able to talk with you today. It's an experiment. Up until now, during my term, I have been doing updates every 2 months from my role as the chair, just to keep you up to date on our activities and to keep you informed. And I've been feeling that it's kind of one way. I've been getting lots of good feedback from everybody, and I really appreciate it, but it's kind of me talking, sitting at my desk here, talking into the camera and then sending it out. And I thought for this last half of my last term, let's try to make it more interactive, where we can get on the call together. I can give you my update, and we are recording this, so others can get the typical update, but also to have some discussion. So I'm very happy to have this as interactive as you're willing to make it. So what I'll do in terms of the format is just give you an update on the activities of the board, as I typically do. And then for each one of these sessions, we'll have them once a month. We'll have a topic of interest. And today, the topic of interest is strategy. So I'll give you some overview on some of the thinking we have of the ICMCI strategy, and we can discuss this. So my welcome, which I've just finished, a bit of an update, a Q&A, and then open discussion around the ICMCI strategy. So let's get underway with that. In terms of activities, it has been a busy period of time. The main activity from my perspective has been the board meeting that we had in February. Each year, we've typically had a face-to-face board meeting, and we've used that for a 2-day meeting where the board looks at strategy, updates the strategic plan, and implements that plan and looks at the implementation plan for it. And that's been a very, very helpful way of keeping the board on track in terms of setting out its annual plan. Of course, this year in these COVID times, we weren't able to meet face-to-face. So instead, we had a 6-hour virtual meeting, 2 3-hour sessions separated by a bit of a break. So it worked out very well, and we did very good work, but it's just not the same as being together. Since the board meeting, we're also now working on our virtual events. So this year we will be hosting all of our hub meetings and the annual meeting of delegates virtually. We've just made that decision. Let's accept it now and move on in that way. So Rima has been working with the chairs of the different hubs to set those up. And it's looking like we'll be focusing the hub meetings around International Consultants Day, which is the first Thursday in June. So the day before that will be the Euro Hub. The week before that will be the either the Americas Hub or the Asia Pacific Hub. And then the week before that, we'll have the remaining hubs. So all of the hubs will be in there. And we're still now thinking about whether there's sufficient critical mass to have an Africa Hub. But Rima's taking the lead on looking at that. We'll also have a virtual Constantinus Award this year. So we'll be proceeding with the Constantinus Awards. I'm excited about that, and doing it virtually will be new for us. Austria had practice doing their national event virtually last year. So they'll be helping us put on the Constantinus Award virtually this year. Another main activity I've been involved in is the CMC Global Directory and the CMC Firm. Both of those are growing, but much more slowly than we would have hoped. So Rima and the Secretariat are working with committees to put a major push on that in the first half of 2021 to establish the marketing for that and see if we can build both of those. The CMC Global Directory is now approaching 100 individuals, and we're thinking about how do we make that more of a value add for members and get people more networking and doing more activities in that way. The ICMCI 2020 Onwards Task Force has finished the discovery phase. It's taken about two months longer than we thought. We had originally hoped to have had it done by the end of calendar year last year, but just getting the meeting set up and getting everyone on. We've met with 40 institutes, 40 of the 48 virtually. So that's great. And it's been giving us good information. We had written information from another 3 or 4, I'm not sure exactly. So almost 100% participation. So I'm really looking forward to that. The task force is now consolidating all of that, and we'll be putting the report together. I've just asked the chair when we can expect the report, and I'll inform you all of you about that as soon as we have it. We're continuing the online seminars. I really enjoy those, but rather than once a week, we're now doing them once a month, and they'll continue to be about the third week of the month. But you'll get lots of notice for those so that we can network and share information with each other as we go on. There are 17 active projects that Rima and Husseima are working on and implementing and coordinating with us. So I'm not going to go into all of them, but I just wanted to give you that update on the key activities. So those are that's the general update. Before we move on to the strategy part of it, let's open it up for questions and answers and keep this very, very interactive. So I see some new people have turned on their cameras. Jafar, hello, how are you today? Yan, nice to see you. And Nader, hello. Okay. And Dansho, I'm not sure I recognized you since everyone else came on. Hi, Phil. You're probably the largest number of time zones away from me. I think we're almost on the opposite ends. So any questions? Or anything about the general activities of ICMCI. And Rima is on here. I must thank formally Rima and Husseima for doing a tremendous job. I know we're a volunteer organization, but typically your paid staff shouldn't also be volunteers, but they are. They put in more hours than we pay them for because of their dedication to what we need to do. So thank you both.
I would like just to say thank you very much for this event, and also thank you for the Zoom that they have prepared this kind of software for making our meetings available. Because without having this technology from the computer side, we wouldn't be able in the time of the pandemic to meet together. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this is a very good substitute. And I hope, that such meetings, will continue, because it's quite important, when we talk to each other, and exchange the experience with each other. We say face to face because we still can smile and talk and move hands together, rather than just going by emails, Yeah. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Rima, how are you? And we hope, that all will go well. We have quite a lot of things, but we would like to listen to the experience of other people first. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I agree with you. The silver lining of the pandemic is our ability to use this kind of technology. And I've interacted personally with more individuals around the world in this past year than I did in the 2 years before that. So it's not quite as good as being face to face, but I agree with you. It is a great way of doing things. Hi, Tatiana. How's everything in Russia? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay, excellent. Well, while you're thinking of questions, I did have one written question came in from our colleague in Australia, Steve. I'm just looking for Steve's last name here, Ibbotson, Steve Ibbotson. He was planning on being here and he had a last minute client meeting. We all know what that feels like. So he wasn't able to be here. But his question is, what have other member institutes done with regard to gaining support from their government bodies around their preferential selection as management consultants as a result of membership in ICMCI and having CMC certification? So in Australia, they're thinking about trying to get their purchasing bodies, particularly government, to recognize the CMC, and if they're looking for consulting services, if you're coming in with the CMC, then you get preferential treatment over management consultants that don't have the CMC. Have any of you done any work in that area?
Yes, I think I would like to mention one thing, because a few months ago, we have had one company that they have done a survey for one of the donor associations, in Jordan. And we found, through that survey, that still the consulting sector, is not well recognized and not well organized. not recognized and organized in the same way, because we're still working as individual or companies without any kind of regulations. And we reached to a point, that at the present time, we are forming a committee under the chairmanship of the Jordan Commercial Association. And hopefully, within a few weeks, we will start making some kind of roadmap for how we can make the sector itself, the consulting sector, to be recognized with two things, that they are very important. And IMC Jordan is now participating in this committee very strongly, and we hope, that we will have a good word in that. Now, two things we are concentrating on. One of them is the regulations, the law, how we can improve, some kind of regulations that will control, not to control by means of yes and no, but at least to make some rules, for who can practice this kind of profession. And the other one is the certification. Now, when we want to go to the business community, we want to tell them what are the qualifications of the people who are members of ICMCI and as well of the local IMCs, So we do have this kind of efforts, but still we are in the beginning, in the first mile. And I think we have the 1,000 mile in this matter, but we have already started on this one. And I think it is quite important to have some kind of help from ICMCI and other members, where we can exchange how this matter was handled between different countries, because once we started with a country as an example, we may, help governments in other countries to proceed with the same idea,
Okay.
That's I just wanted to mention in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. Phil, you also had mentioned, raised your hand that you were working in that area.
Yeah, we did a bit of work last year, Dwight, to raise awareness in New Zealand, and it's a slow journey. We started it off. So what we've just done is we've been working with the government agency that coordinates the government procurement. They set up panels for all sorts of services, accounting, audit, consulting, other things, and they're just doing a refresh of that panel. And so we've been working with them over the last year, and we told them that we really thought that there should be two things added to the panel that weren't there. One was membership of a professional body because of the importance of adhering to a professional code of conduct and having access to a complaints procedure. And the second was we thought that they should record certifications from professional institutes, not just ours, but any professional institute. And we didn't know whether they would do that or not. And they released the refresh of that, and they've included both those things in it for the first time, which is really good. Because what it means is it allows us to raise the profile. And we have no problem with other professional institutes doing the same, because we support the professionalization of a range of industries, so that's fine. But it gives us the opportunity to raise the profile and point out which members have it, which is nice. So it's a slow journey, but we started it.
Okay, excellent. And any other thoughts to share? The one other thing we can throw into the pot. I like the idea of collaborating on this one, because I think it's of general interest to all. Is that through the ISO 2700, one of the thoughts there is that we would have training programs for purchasing organizations to show how you can use that standard to from the purchasing side to ensure that there's clarity of projects with management consultants. And that could be kind of a thin opening of the door. You provide that kind of training, you can say, and also the CMC is available, and this gives you this next level of competence of the person that you'd be engaging. So let's keep that on the agenda in terms of strategic thinking, which we're going to move into now, because I think it is an important area, and there's just not enough recognition of the CMC certification and how useful it could be with governments, but also any other purchasing organization in terms of getting quality.
So just one other point
Sure.
there, Dwight.
Yep.
If I could add. Sorry, I just forgot. I've worked in the United Arab Emirates several times, and I just received a notification in the last few days that they are calling for consultants to register for their Government Excellence Program. And one of the things they have specified is that those consultants should be certified management consultants and upload a copy of their CMC certificate.
Oh, okay. I love it. That's great.
Right, if you may take note of the chat, please. There is a question from Tatiana. I'm going to read it to you. Dwight, we will have an in-person conference of the Institute of Consultants on April 27th in Russia. When you plan to hold a face-to-face conference for ICMCI?
Okay. When do we plan to have one? We don't have plans for a full conference, but we are looking at having some information sessions at the time of our annual meeting of delegates. So that would be in October. I think it's the third week in October, is it, Rima? So the second week, and she'll look up the dates. So we will put our toe in the waters in terms of having some speakers that can really be helpful to us, and not to interfere with the annual meeting, but perhaps between the two sessions. So we have one earlier in the day, one later in the day because of time zones, and fill it between that with informative sessions. So what was the date plan now? We don't have a firm date, but it'll be the week of October
11th.
Week of October.
I'm typing 11th. It in the chat for everyone to take note.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And if you wouldn't mind moderating the chat for me, that would be great, because I'm
Thank you.
all my papers and everything here. You're welcome. So then on to strategy. I'd be really interested in your feedback on some of this thinking. So we had a great session, as I had mentioned. We have reaffirmed the vision, and this is something that shouldn't change typically very often in organizations. And so it is to be a leader in the development of management consulting as a global profession that drives social and economic success. And all of those dimensions are important, because it's this growth of a profession. Management consulting as a global profession is critically important, and it's not for the profession itself. It's for the outputs that we have. It's how we help clients to be successful, and therefore help our economies and help our societies in terms of being better. And the three goals, we did recommend as a board that we will continue with the three goals, and they're what you would think they would be. And I've talked to you all at different sessions about these. So the first one really is about the profession. How do we increase the visibility of the profession? How do we ensure that we've got the best possible value proposition? So I know each of you at institutes are consumed with this, but at ICMCI, we also need to be really thinking hard about how do we support you, and how do we create programs and services that can enhance the profession. ISO 2700 being one of the most recent examples of that. We're now working on the enhancement of the competency framework to strengthen that even more, and several initiatives are in that area. The second one is around institutes, and how do we build our global network. We can now proudly say that, as I did see in the chats, Alfred, your thought about the sun rising and falling on ICMCI. So there's always sunlight somewhere in our world. So we have to think about how we grow our membership and have more formal institutes. With the creation of the Global Institute, however, we can all say that anyone anywhere in the world can be a member of an institute, can receive support, can receive the value of networking with like-minded professionals, and in addition to that, can get the CMC certification. And the reciprocity likewise works. Anyone that gets a CMC certificate anywhere in the world and moves anywhere else in the world will be able to maintain that certificate either through a land-based institute or through the Global Institute, which is virtual. So these are big things for us. us. But on the other hand, we just know that we don't have the growth that we need. In fact, over the last decade, we've gently been on the down curve in terms of both certified members and if you sort of take the regulated country of Austria out of the equation, we've been losing membership everywhere else in the world. So thank goodness that because of the growth of the consulting sector in Austria, our overall global numbers are rising, but we do need to think about how we can emulate that in all of the countries of the world so that we're all on a growth trajectory and are representing the profession as well as we can and taking a leadership role there. And then the third one is around building the visibility with other international organizations in terms of ICMCI, its work and the profession, and we need to work in that area as well. So just a couple of highlights from the board meeting that I wanted to share with you. And then I'll open it up because I'd really like to get your input on that one, on all of these things. The second, after the reaffirming the current vision and goals, we did have a fair amount of discussion about thinking about what is the best business model for ICMCI going forward. We were created with the very traditional form of one country, one institute. Over time, that's been modified. So we now have some regional institutes, for example, the Caribbean, which provides services to a number of different countries. And that's happening in a couple of other areas as well. But we've been losing some institutes. So are there other ways of thinking about how one becomes a formal member of ICMCI and represents management consultants in a particular geographical area? Does it have to be one institute per country? Can we combine countries into institutes in other ways, or could we break down institutes? Would be in a smaller than one geographic area, or does every institute have to be formed in exactly the same way? Do they all have to have the same level of qualifications, or you can have different types of institutes? So these are all questions. I don't know, and I'd be very interested in your perspectives on these. But what we've been doing for the last 30 years now seems not to be working for us. So we have to think critically and creatively about how we can do better as in terms of our organization. I'm just reading my next point, but I elaborated on that one already in the first point. The ISO 2700 standard is coming up for reevaluation in 2022. So as a board, we're now starting to prepare for that and thinking about how we will support ISO's work in terms of the upgrade on that standard. And if it's necessary, and if it is, in what ways would we do that? This has been one of our great programs in terms of being very well received by the public. And I'm personally an instructor in the program and get a lot of really positive feedback from management consultants in terms of their work. Hi, Philip. Nice to see you. I just turned your camera on.
Yeah, I was in a COVID testing station beforehand. It would have looked nice. Well, I heard everything.
So thank you for that then. The Professional Standards Committee has been gathering additional information from institutes in terms of the work that they're doing, and is suggesting that we would have some kind of a recognition system in place. So for all of those institutes that are meeting all of the requirements of membership, that be acknowledged in some way, and then and this helps to identify those who are struggling in some of those areas and how we can work with them to support them in whatever way is important for them to be successful. So that's something that is now starting and that we're working through. We talked a lot about the economic impact of the pandemic, and this is absolutely hit some institutes harder than others, but it's affected all of us in one way or another. And some of the institutes are in particularly difficult straits because of dropping membership rolls during it's hitting them now in 2021 because of the timing of the pandemic. Most memberships were renewed for 2020 calendar year, but it's hitting them in 2021 calendar year. So we've agreed as a board that REMA will be working with the treasurer to look at what kind of financial support we can give in terms of membership fee reductions for the 2021-2022 calendar year to give institutes a bit of breathing space to catch up as we recover from the results of the pandemic. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but I know that Jan Willem and Rima will come up with a good plan for us, and I think that will be well received. And then we reviewed and approved a marketing plan. And we've been working really hard over the last 18 months in terms of building our social marketing capacity. It's being led by Johanna, who's a director of our board and the executive director in Kosovo. She's doing a really good job in terms of getting that out, and Rima is now supporting her in terms of all of the work that needs to be done in that. So, so you'll be continue to be seeing more and more activity of us on all of our social networking channels, excuse me, and I'm very pleased with seeing the visibility that we have now. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we are also looking at a digital digital workflow project in terms of automating some of our ongoing processes, particularly the recertification process, which is very manually oriented. Some of that learning could apply to institutes in terms of how you could use that for your own certification processes as well. So that's the kind of my mind dump in terms of the work that we've been doing. I wanted to throw a few ideas on the table. We've got about a half an hour left, up to half an hour left to get your feedback and answer any questions that you might have.
Duet, Lydia here.
Hi, Lydia.
Hi. I just like to share the Singapore experience during the COVID period. Indeed, it was very, very challenging. But I think what happens is this: to be able to raise a membership of CMC, it's really very tough. So we have actually another brand we call registered management consultants, which means that the rules are not as stringent as CMC. If they become a RMC, there's a pathway for them to become a CMC, you know. Otherwise, it's very difficult because CMC, we require 3,600 consulting hours. For RMC, we only require 1,000 consulting hours. Now, what we want is actually to attract two categories of consultants in the market. One, the younger consultants, the millennials. Two, those consultants who are very seasoned, but are not affiliated in any professional body. So these are the two categories. And so if you become an RMC, there is a very high chance of you becoming a CMC. Now, as far as RMC, Registered Management Consultant, is concerned, we have the government recognition, which is actually really very encouraging. CMC, we are still fighting very hard. We are still trying very hard to raise our profile of ICMCI, that we are affiliated and a member of the global body. Now, in terms of RMC, we actually thrive, not just survive. We thrived during COVID-19. We had record amount of consultants, the junior ones, as well as the older one, hoping to be recognized, that came forward. The reason is because in Singapore, almost 90% of our economy is made up of SMEs, small, medium enterprise. So we had a great influx of certification. 2020 was our record year of certification, believe it or not. So that actually brought in a lot of cash flow for us, which we count a blessing, and we thank God for this. Now, of course, from this pool, we hope to work on them to become CMC, right? Now, we were also very blessed because the government is very sensitive to COVID-19, And because of that, they were giving funding to SME. So that helped tremendously in that sense. Now, this is not good enough for us. We are always thinking of ways and means. How do we scale IMC Singapore? You know, we must always think beyond everything else. You know, we must not only just think putting all our eggs in one basket. So in 2020, we have been very aggressive in forming alliances, in collaborating with other professional and trade association. One of the most useful trade association, if you have a similar body in your country, is called the National Trades Union. They have in there 69 professional and trade institute and association. We are newcomer, so they have a huge ecosystem that we can tap on. So we are working on them. We have already started on one. We are still working on the other. The one we have started is actually the Singapore Human Resource Institute. There will be a lot of HR sort of directors, HR managers who would be very, very interested to become HR consultants. So again, that is really a platform for us to bring in more members, you know. So in regard to what Duet has said, I fully understand some of the other IMC are going through a very challenging time. I understand. Perhaps the stronger IMC can try to help, you know, I would say that other IMC that are not doing so well, to see whether we can exchange idea and help them to see what works with them, honestly. I think it's a matter of sharing ideas. I think it's very important, but of course, the supreme thing is to get government recognition. Once you get government recognition, it goes a long way. So our government, we already fly the flag of ICMCI all the time in all our government meetings. They are now realizing it. It's a matter of really education. We must create that awareness, you know, that we are linked to the world body, and we really have a world network of consultants around the world that we can tap on. All right, that's much I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Jafar, I think you had your hand up on this as well.
Yes, actually, all what you have said is very nice, you know, and goes to the matter. But I think the horses which will pull this carriage, you know, will be the domestic IMCs, you know, in every country. Because we don't want maybe for one day to see that ICMCI is becoming like the United Nations, is a group of countries with representatives and finished, you know. Now, what I think maybe, and what we are trying to do in Jordan is to make sure, you know, why do we lose membership of the people? Because losing membership is a very important matter for us, and we are trying to hold the courage and stop that. Now, the point that some of our people, they are not seeing the value of being IMCs, or not seeing the value of being CMCs. And this matter, I think maybe it goes in two ways. One of them is the regulation with the governments, as the lady from Singapore have said, that the government there has a lot of interaction, you know, to help them. And the other one is the people themselves, for example. If they said for any application, that's what I would like to see, and I ask most of our people. When they go for a business, they should present IMC and ICMCI in their quotations, you know. When they write any application, they have to say that they are members of IMCs, which is part of ICMCI, and what are the qualifications, at least with a paragraph, you know. And this is quite important to spread the idea of who is IMCs. Because once I apply for a job, for example, or I have a quotation for a project, and I just say, I'm Jafar Sha'ar, and that's it, and this is my experience. This is one side, but it is important that I should present that I am part of IMC. I'm a member of IMC, and who is IMC and ICMCI? So everybody will be reading that. And I think maybe the letters, you know, the documents that are issued by the companies, small companies, or by individuals should always insist, you know, and focus on what is IMC and what is ICMCI. I don't want them to write an essay or a book about that, but at least 1 or 2 paragraphs, you know. And from my point of view, strengthening the local IMCs, you know, is the first step to make IMCI workable. Thank you. This is what is my point, you know, about this matter, because we, as you have said, we are losing, you know, membership for a time, you know, and we are trying to gain back all the people, you know, that we have lost them. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'd like to reinforce one of the points you made, because it's not the intention that ICMCI should replace institutes or somehow come to be a national body, because that cannot be the intent. We do need to have this the regional work of institutes. The question, though, is more about what can we do more to help institutes acquire those members. And there are things we can do globally. And for those countries where there are not institutes, we may not be able to find a body that can carry all of the things that an IMC now does. So are there other ways of encouraging groups of consultants in those countries to come together that are different from what we now think of as a full institute? So I'm not talking about changing or removing the layer of institutes by any stretch, but saying that we have to keep our minds open about how we can do things more to support the growth of institutes by attracting members in different ways. Nader, you had a question.
Yes, I'm following up on what Jafar mentioned and what just sorry, what Phil mentioned, that now it's required in the UAE that in the excellence program that they need the CMC certificate. Maybe we can build on this one from your side or from our side or from all of us, just to start with other countries, like maybe, I don't know, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe Qatar, maybe European countries even, I don't know, that this will be as a condition. Well, we cannot say a condition, but at least you can promote it from your side as ICMCI, that this certificate is, okay, maybe we can use that it has been recognized in UAE, which is considered, I'm not, you know, exaggerating, but UAE is really very well advanced in this sector. I mean, in the excellence, innovation, etc., etc. So we can use it as how we call it, as a sample, or as maybe as pioneer country using this CMC certificate, and we can build on it and start from there. I think maybe that will be this is a good idea. Yeah. Something else in the. You want to say something? Or
no, I was agreeing with you, so please continue.
Yes, regarding the strategy, in fact, we have been busy with in the last few months building our strategy, and we have really, I don't know if I can share just the one slide of our strategy, which we really translate and can really show most of what we have. See, I'll try to share this slide. I don't know if it can be on the
I think Hussein can enable that for you.
He can.
No, I put it on the chat. Maybe if everybody, or if you give me.
Oh, I see. You gave it to us in the chat.
Yes, if you can just open it, just to share. Maybe I give some hints about it, and if you have any comments, anybody has any comment, maybe we can use. I don't know. Just I like to share it.
No. Okay.
Can you open it, or I don't know?
Yes, sure. Give me 1 second to share it.
Yes, please.
Just while she's loading that in terms of UAE, that initiative has been supported by the Business Excellence Institute, and I'm a fellow there. So I made a note already to follow up with them to find out about how they managed to, I know he's been very knowledgeable about the CMC, so I'm glad to hear that. And we will follow up and see how we can leverage that in other ways. So anyway, now continue please with the slide. It's on the
Yes,
screen.
well, this is the slide. This is what we call it in the strategy language. This is the strategy map of our IMC Jordan. We put the this, we can say that our vision to be a catalyst for enablement and enrichment of the consulting and training sector development. And we have very high level three let us say goals or themes, whatever: knowledge, intelligence, and the future foresight, service development and innovation, excellence in developing value creation. If we go a little bit down, we'll try to explain it, how to, theme number 1 to be leading position through excellence, source of inspiration, performance excellence impact, if you are following me. And the third one, excellence momentum. And we have in fact 3 groups now. They are working on each theme in order to be able to how to call it, to operationalize this strategy, and they are really working hard. So I believe hopefully within 1 month plus or minus, we will have it ready with goals, with KPIs, with initiatives, in order to start strongly to implement, and to also to how we call it, to raise the business or the consulting sector in Jordan. And of course, we are imitating, or we are really following some of the advices or the comments mentioned in this meeting and the other meeting with ICMCI. That's what I wanted to share. Hopefully, if anybody has a comment or want to give any, I don't know, that's just, if you keep it for a moment, that will be.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and please do share that with us as you continue to build that strategy. We're always interested in seeing the strategies of the Institute, so we can share best practices with others. Any questions for Nader, or any other comments about strategy?
And even later, anybody want to send a comment or?
Sure, and we can also continue in the texts as well. Thanks.
Yeah.
Alfred,
yes, I have some thoughts. First, I put it in 2 parts. The first part is the small part. Let me say the International Consulting Day starts always a little bit late, mainly the same month where it takes place. So we should send out now a timeline. Also, what to do with some small points. First, let's send out a press release now to the medias in the different countries, so that we open the mind. There comes a consulting day, so that they are able to respect also the consulting day. On the other hand, we should do our homework in every country to do whatever we mean, which is a very good show for the consulting day, whatever it is. We, for example, we invite some special guests, let me say some politicians, some very important persons to an event, and show how what we have done, for example, and we show, for example, the Constantinos projects, some very highlighted projects. First part. Second part, what all we consultants respect in our trainings, validity and importance to the people. The first movement is always if I'm important. So we have to respect it also from the place of our IMCs and from ICMCI. What do I mean with this? We should send out and think about how can we make visible our qualification on the first hand, maybe best projects, best practices. Third, lobbying with worldwide important people. In Austria, we organize 4 times a year, especially not in the time of Corona, but we start also with online meetings, the CMC Masters Club. We have to come down to the people, to the very if there is no value of the CMC, and on the second hand, ICMCI, they wouldn't be member and they see no sense. So if we start, for example, with the CMC Masters Club worldwide in ICMCI, and we can do it online, we can do it also in different places. We can make a program which country will come with us, will be member of the CMC Masters Club, and we send out some very, very simple rules. But this we have to respect, how to organize this CMC Masters Club. Then we come up a little bit with visibility and with showing the qualification, and we have a door to go in with clients, so that they come with us. We do not calculate something for our advice, and we show best practices in our industry. So ICMCI, CMC Masters Club, online could be together with important people. So to have a transfer of image from the important people to ICMCI and from ICMCI to the important people. Other point of giving validity is a monthly letter of the chair, because we need the connection to the politicians. And this monthly letter should have also advice to current topics. Many special things, I don't go in now, but to the current topics, not things from behind and whatever. So current topics. Next point is how to be visible and to give importance. We should send out the logo of ICMCI, member of ICMCI, for all our IMC members. And this logo should be on all letterheads, pointed out on a special place, always on the left side, on the right side, about wherever. But if you are a member of an IMC, you have the right to be, for example, or you have the right to put the CMC on it, whatever it is. The letterhead should show ICMCI, so that we go out very spread out very quick, without no money, to all members. Nearly the last point, I have 2 points more. That recognition of governments of government is very important. In Austria, it's one of our main values, and we make the government always under pressure. Also, for example, for digitalization programs, for support programs for SMEs. We have many programs now helping the consultants and helping the market of the consultants. So support programs are very important. And the last point is to be visible. Many thanks to all IMCs who sent now an ambassador for the Constantinos worldwide. And the Constantinos worldwide with the ambassador program can also help to send out press releases, to be visible, and to show the qualification, not to talk about qualification. We shouldn't talk about qualification. We should show the qualification, because this goes inside and is not only spoken, it's the people can feel the importance and the qualification. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've been taking notes on those. I appreciate those ideas very much. And I know Rima's been busy taking notes as well. Thank you. I see some hands up, so I'll just keep moving so we can go through this in time. Kim, I see that you've put your hand up for a comment.
Yes, I just opened the microphone and here's my picture as well. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
So greetings from Finland. Yes, I was just thinking, when Lydia was talking much on that, I agree with her that somehow we are doing the things wrong in the institutes and when looking for CMCs, because we are looking for successful consultants to become members of the institutes or to become CMCs. And my question is, why would they bother if they are already successful? So we should focus on getting young people to become members in the institutes and build a path for success for them to become the CMCs, so that when you become the member of the institute, you have a path of becoming a CMC inside the institute, and becoming a CMC will, well, not guarantee, but be a better possibility for you to become a successful management consultant. Yeah. That should be the aim we are doing. Today, the young consultants go to the big fives. When they come out from school, they go and get their consulting training from the big five companies. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't they, for example, come to CMC firms? Why don't we build up for CMC firms a path where to educate consultants?
Thank you.
So focus on the youngs is my message.
Focus on the young people, right? And the young people don't have 3 years of experience and a list of projects that they can show. I've been hearing, getting questions and hearing, as Lydia outlined, increasing exploration of this entry-level certification. So if someone's coming straight out of university, they can become a member of an institute and become certified, but it's not at the CMC level, but at some other level which shows competence, but not as high as the CMC. Namrod, you've had your hand up for quite a while. Do you have a comment for us, Namrod?
Yes,
thank
you. Yeah, thank you. My comment is more in terms of what you touched on with regards to growing membership at the IMC level and also at the institute level. I think we are a typical example of maybe what you were referring to. Our institute, initially we worked with another institute in the region for a very good reason, because management consultants in the region do travel, around the region. Mm-hmm. And the companies also in those countries are, that's basically the reason. And also it made sense that maybe we focus on one institute. That worked on very well. But the challenge comes in with countries now where they are saying, taking things from a national perspective, that the focus of one country might not necessarily be the same in another. So obviously, having one institute becomes a natural bit of a challenge. I'm referring to what the Caribbeans have done, which is fine, and we try to do the same. But we realized later on that I think there was something of national importance that we've got to take note of. We're not able to attract an EA from actual government because we're not standing on our own. But from the time we said, no, hold on, let's now come in as a separate institute. All of a sudden, there's been so much interest now from actual government, which is the biggest consultant client out of that. We had an opportunity to go and talk to the department that deals with the government, all the ministries. It was a very interesting and useful discussion in terms of introducing ourselves, that we are now an institute in our own right. Yes, we work collaboratively with others because of the geographical setup that we've got. But they appreciated that. To say, yes, I think we need to do it from two angles, one from a national point of view and also from a regional point of view. Because, from a regional point of view, we are all one because we work, in different countries. So we had a discussion again with the others to say, okay, fine, we can collaborate on the certification because we are giving one person who travels from one country to the other, but still retain our actual national, interest, so that at least we are able to reach more members within the country. Which I think is since we did that at the end of 2019, all of a sudden, again, leaders absolutely correct. Most of our, industries are more on the SME. And all of a sudden now, we are now getting, SME consulting firms now joining the institute, which is something that we never used to have before. So the point I'm trying to raise is the issue of national importance, that I think it's important to have, an institute for a nation, but I think we should also allow the nations to work collaboratively from a region point of view. So that at least we, necessarily we will look at it from that angle in terms of meeting the, the local content, but regionally from a political point of view,
Yes.
because they work together. And I think that that will go a long way. And again, I'll go further, the aspect of, the organization of ICMCI. There are other institutes that have been there for a very long time. Again, for example, the accounting profession, which started about 1854. They've got IFAC, which is the National Federation of Accounting. They are also modeled in the same way as what we were, that there's a national institute, which is affiliated to IFAC. And I think it has been working on extremely well for the simple reason that the national will take note of the local needs and also local content. In here we're looking at maybe the situation like 70-30. That 70 must be what everybody, shares, like in terms of, for us, it would be ICMCI, and the 30 becomes the local side. And out of that, we've got a local board here that also regulates, which works on the same, which has got, CBOC, and also has got a national competence framework. So that aspect, I think, gels on very well in terms of what ICMCI is doing. But what I'm saying is that I think we should support what works for a region rather than saying, we must have an institute or we must have, a natural region. I think that flexibility will help in terms of the membership being able to grow, either from a country point of view or from an institute point of view. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. And I think that's a great example of the intent is that we can't be too structured and too strict in terms of our thinking. We have to think of different ways of doing things that accommodate all. Rima, I'm going to come to you in a minute for if there's anything in the moderating comments or from the chat that we need. But Phil, I'll turn it to you. I just see you put your hand up and then I'll come over to Rima, and that's going to bring us about to the end of our hour.
Yeah, thanks. Just a short note, also from our side in Austria. As you know, we have a sort of special membership situation because we see the whole consulting market within our membership base. And just on a side note, what we've seen is that the COVID crisis last year has not deterred in any way the growth in the consulting market. Actually, in the opposite, our consulting market base has grown. So there are, through the COVID crisis, more management consultants in the market than before. It's not a huge growth, but it is a growth. So this isn't. We are not talking about a sector that is where consultants drop out of the market. And I'm not saying that all the consultants that have entered the market are those that we would typically want in the CMC standard, but it does show that the consulting, that there are a lot of people who go into consulting, and now with the end of the crisis hopefully coming near, there will be a large focus on turnaround, on restructuring companies. So there is a sort of there will be a good playing field for consultants to put their services to good use for society and for the business community. And of course, it would be nice to see this reflect in a rise in CMCs as such. I don't have a solution for that, but I don't think it's a lack of consultants as such. I think the consultants are there. It's just a question on how you can address the consultants. That's just a short side note from our side due to the statistics that I see.
Okay, very, very interesting. I appreciate that. And I can see that if unemployment is going down or if there's lowering that way, some people might be entering into consulting as an alternative as well. So very good.
That is an explanation that I've seen as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Very good. So Rima, certainly if there's anything from the chat that you'd like to bring, but also from your own perspective as executive director, based on the comments today, I'd really like to hear from you as well.
Well, a couple of notes actually on all that has been said. I feel that everyone is kind of more interested in the hub's perspective. And even with Africa, even with the low number of members in Africa, they are interested in having the hub. So most probably I'll be contacting you, Namrod, and contacting all the members in Africa for us to start a hub and maybe actually hold hub meeting this year. The other thing is everyone's commenting on the positive note from Kim and the focus on the new generation, and everyone's saying that yes, it's something that either they started doing or will start doing, or if it's an excellent idea. So thank you, Kim, for that contribution. I love the member of ICMCI logo because thought from Alfred, because we have noted that many of the IMCs actually write that sentence beside their logo, and maybe we should formalize it and have a specific logo that everyone can use. So that I'll take into implementation immediately, Mr. Chair. Again, the notes in there were all supportive of the discussion. I feel this was very successful, and everyone would be able to see this recording on our YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dwight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that does bring us to the end of the hour. I know you all have schedules, so I don't want to keep you past that time, but I also found it very helpful to have this kind of interactive discussion. There's not a lot of decisions we can make in this kind of forum, but I've been taking notes madly. I know Rima has, and we also have the recording, so it's available to other institutes and executives and board members and other institutes to be kept up to date in terms of what all of us are working on. So, so thank you very much. Just Alfred?
Yes, one last word from my side.
Good for you.
Dwight, many thanks from my heart to you personally. You do a really very good job as president, and you bring ICMCI to the next level. Many thanks for this.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind. Thank you. That's a nice thought for me as I put my head back on my pillow after this meeting. Okay, so thank you all. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day. Time is the most precious gift because you can't make more time. So I thank you for your time today, and I'm looking forward to these sessions, which we'll have on a monthly basis. So I'll look forward to seeing you again, and feel free to be in touch by email at any time. So any questions or comments, do be in touch, please.